longer. Dun, dun, Perfect. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Namek, and welcome to tonight's Just Chatting stream. How's everyone doing? It is Thursday, May 29th, Thursday. And I hope everyone's having a great week so far. Tomorrow is Friday. Happy days as always. And the summer is here. Hope everyone is having a great start to this summer, especially if you are in school. Hello, Banana. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Let me just say this first. Yesterday, I chatted for almost 2 hours. And that was because I was just having way too much fun. You guys are the reason, of course. So, thank you for coming in to just come in and hang out and chat with me. These are the type of content that I like to make, participate in. I'll do my best to try and make highlights out of it, even though it's really just me talking to you guys. But I definitely think, like I said, streaming is all about having fun. Am I right, guys? I know some of you are very excited about tomorrow because one shot will be completed by me, or rather the second playthrough will be completed by me. I think I can do it in about 2 streams, Friday and Saturday. I want to take my time and enjoy that game and see what kind of ending that I can get. The one I got before was more of a neutral ending, and I'm trying to go for the best ending. However, I was wondering if there is a very bad ending as well. Is that the one where I literally just smash the light bulb and have Nico go back to his own world? It's not 100% bad because at least Nico gets to go back home. However, what if it was a lie? What if it doesn't transport Nico back? What if you get punished for just being plain selfish? Anyways, that will not be happening tomorrow though. And by the way, if anyone who is familiar with the game, feel free to come in. In fact, I would ask you to please come in and help me out because I do not know what kind of gameplay or puzzles that I'm gonna be expecting. I don't think there's gonna be any sort of combat because overall one shot has always been, or rather from what I've seen, it is a puzzle solving game. So to all of a sudden adding some kind of combat scenario, I don't think that's gonna happen. You never know with it. Oh, and of course, please don't spoil anything. Just small hints here and there would be good. I really didn't like the fact that I had to resort to Google to help me with some of the puzzles, but assuming this is a new a second playthrough with new puzzles, I might have to resort to that once again. Anyways, Banana, I think you're definitely here yesterday, right? Did you enjoy hearing me yap for about 2 hours non-stop? Because I can promise you, I can yap for another hour or 2. Believe me, I really, really can. Just throw me a bone about anything, and I'm there. You were there for a bit, but had to do something for a while. I think it was the first 30 minutes that I was more or less talking to myself or had a very small audience, which is fine with me. But then a few people started to come in, and then some of my old viewers like Crack and Adrian, they came in, and Kira came in as well. I had like maybe 3 voices on here, excluding me, so a total of 4. That was really, really fun, and I very much appreciate that. It's good for my psyche, good for my morale. Feels good to have someone to actually, talk to every night, or have someone listen to you, depending on what I'm talking about. Anyways, as for what we're gonna look at today, I don't know. Oh yeah, I did promise to watch episode 2 of Indie Cross, but I'm not gonna do that until I finish One Shot. I believe some people told me that Nico is in episode 2. Well, he has to be, because there's only 2 episodes, and episode 2 came out, I think it says a month ago, so not that long. And by the duration on YouTube, it looks like episode 2 is 40 something minutes long. Way longer than episode 1. Episode 1 was what, 15 minutes? It felt really quick though. It felt really quick. But yeah, I don't know. If I watched it on stream, that might just take up an entire stream. Or it'll just extend my stream by 45 minutes or so. Either way, I'm looking forward to it. Also, if you're listening to the background music, you might wonder what it is. It is another lo-fi music from one of my favorite franchises, Pokemon. And if you want to be more specific, Generation 2, Johto. This is undoubtedly my favorite region. I don't know why. I don't know how. I'm gonna try to explain why it's my favorite region, but I think it's more to do with nostalgia. In terms of gameplay, I mean, it's not much compared to Generation 1 or later on, but for some reason, the region of Johto, and you get extra, you can go back to Kanto, as well as the Generation 2 Pokemon are just filled with some of my favorites. I think after Johto ended, that is when I actually grew out of Pokemon a little bit. So maybe Gen 2 is when I am still somewhat hung up on my childhood. Now, if I want to go back, I've always known what Pokemon is. Back in China, Pokemon actually was shown. Granted, I don't remember too much. The only shows I remember watching were either state propaganda cartoons like, what is it, Police Cat? And a few others. But as I moved to Shanghai, there was Slam Dunk and Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and of course Pokemon. Oh, and Detective Conan. Those are the few that I think I remember. And when I moved to the States, I was extremely scared because I didn't speak English. Damn it. I don't know. I was quite scared. Because I was in this foreign land with everything that is new. The food was new, the people were new. I've never even seen someone who's blonde or brunette. I've never seen so many cars or houses in my life. So I was extremely shy and don't know where I am. However, the one thing that kept me somewhat sane or comforting was actually, believe it or not, Pokemon. Hey, thanks for the follow sub, Evo Grapes. Hello, what's going on? Nothing much. My name is Unmeg. You can call me Colin, which is my real name. You're hopping through food streams tonight? I know. I did food stream for a reason. I want to do cooking streams, which to my right is actually my cooking stovetop, but I more or less just want to be able to chat with people. That's all. And eventually, when I do get my cooking setup a little bit more well lit, I will be doing more or less cooking and chatting at the same time. So right now, it is just me talking about whatever is on my mind. Yeah, thanks, Eve. I'll just call you Grapes if that's all right. I don't like to call you evil. That sounds bad. I don't think you're evil. Anyways, as I was saying, I was coming from China and I was very, very flustered and very, very isolated because coming from communist China back when it was... Oh, hello. Thanks for follow, Larry Hoover. Graves is good with you? Sounds good. And then when I came to the US, I was astounded by the cultural abnormality of it. Again, I've never seen a blonde person. I've never seen a brunette person. I've never seen a house. I've never seen people with cars, average people with cars. But the one thing that at the very least that kept me somewhat sane, even though I did not speak the language, was actually Pokemon. And this is during the time that I think Ash was just right at the end of his Johto journey, because I remember the episodes was Charizard versus Magmar. And that's what kept me sane. Yo, Scott, what's going on? Haven't seen me for a while. Yeah, I know. Well, it's summer. And I took a vacation, or rather, not a vacation. I was going through some rough patches for the past month and a half. So I literally came back just a few weeks ago. And it's good to have you guys back. And right now, instead of playing games, except for Friday and Saturday, on Monday through Thursday, I like to do these just chatting sections. And Grapes is the new viewer on the cooking section. But I realized that one of the things that I really love about cooking is that there's comes with just chatting. There's something about a person speaking their mind, not just about what they're doing with the food, but also, you know, there's something about a juxtaposition of like the clanking of utensils, the searing of a steak, while someone is talking about what they're doing, or they could be talking about something like their personal life, which is what I want to do. Again, eventually I'll go back to cooking. Eventually I try to do that, but right now the setup is a little bit messed up. Anyways, as I was saying, why Generation 2 of Pokemon is probably my favorite. It's because, again, if you see here, Lugia is definitely my favorite Pokemon of all time. I know people had I know there are some good runner-ups. I would say Chikorita is probably the cutest Pokemon I've ever seen. I also really love Hitmontop, and so many. Ho-Oh was good, but Lugia, there's just something so majestic and cuddly and smooth about this Pokemon, and his drawing is so simple. And yes, I did fall in love with him or her when I went to see the movie Pokemon 2000. I saw Pokemon, the first movie with Mew and Mewtwo, and that one was pretty good, okay?
As we age.
But there's something about Lugia's song, the way that he hymns. There's just something very, very mysterious about it. And that's why I love Generation 2 so much. I love Whitney, even though she kicked my butt with my Typhlosion. Your favorite Pokemon is Jinx? Really? No comment. Maybe you're... everyone has their thing, Grapes. But then again, I also had somewhat of a small crush on Lapras because of the way that she's looking at you. I'm just saying. This is a weird... Some of these Pokemon's giving me some sus looks right here. But Lugia is still absolutely my favorite. Scott is saying I should play Repo. Banana, come on. You know exactly. If you take the animal out of it, just look at the eyes and the smirk. It's like Lapras is giving you the eye. And there's no way I couldn't respond to that. And plus, you could ride him, her, whatever. On water. Anyways, Scott, look, I would play Repo, but understand that there's a reason my content has to change, and I can only play games on Friday and Saturday. The biggest reason? I'm broke. If you don't know, Grapes, I'm actually in the real estate market, so I have a very flexible job. It's not a 9-to-5 job. I make money purely on sales and leases, on some people signing contracts. See you, Scott. So, right now the market is not exactly that good, so that's why I don't have any sort of income, but I have lots of time to just come in and talk and stream, and that's what I've been doing. So if you give me a game that is, so that's why the games I play are usually like $5 or under. And unless you gift me the game. The last game that I played was actually Expedition 33, and then, well, before that was actually One Shot. But that, I know it cost $50, but that was because one of my mods, Koki, gifted it to me. Otherwise, I would have never even played that game or even known about that game. That was one of the highlights of this year so far. Which part of the country was I from again? China. I came to the US around 97, I want to say 97 or 98. So it was during a period when China was just starting to grow. It's nowhere near the superpower that people see that it is now. Back when I was there, people were on bicycles, okay? And everyone was did not have access to the internet. We were still a very, very, very poor country that was just starting to rise up. So my parents, who originally thought, oh, well, we probably have a better life in the US, immigrated over here. And I didn't have any say to it because I was like a 7-8-year-old kid. Granted, did I have a happy life in China? Yes, I did. But since you're here, Grapes, sorry, Grapes, that's just how it's a mod. But granted, it's a mod from Botrix. Like, it's a robot. It's not someone leveling up. Here, I'll give you an example. Come on. I don't know why this is not working. There we go. Pictures. So, here we go. Here's a picture that I've shown everyone. Hey V, welcome back. Good to see ya. Stream started, and I hope you had fun from yesterday, because remember, I talked for almost 2 hours. Could have kept going. I was actually just showing Grapes here. He was asking where I was from, and which is China. And I was just showing him here that this is the kind of house that I was living in back then. The tall building and these skyscrapers here back here, they did not exist. Obviously, we didn't have a car or even the Tesla. No, we operated on these crappy ass mopeds and scooters and stuff. And I would say 90-95% of the people here had bicycles. It was like a sea of bicycles. So this is not my exact house, but it's kind of like a mirror version of it. My old house is actually maybe 1 or 2 streets down, but it was demolished. And I lived on the first floor. Okay, it was a 2-bedroom. We obviously did not own the house because in China, in a communist country, you don't own anything, even to this day. When you buy a property, you get a lease on it. I think it's like 99 years or something like that. And then if it doesn't get sold to your kids or doesn't get inherited, then it goes back to the government. That's it. You can smell that picture? Sure. it pretty much smell. It's going fine, V. This is the kind of stream that I enjoy, even though I'm not playing any games and I'm just yapping my butt off. Some people enjoy it, but some people don't, which is fine. What video, Grapes? Go ahead and share it with me. By the way, if you want, I also have my Discord pinned, so if you want to, I give my viewers the option of speaking to me in voice if they want. Yesterday, I had Ned in there. Hey, thanks for the follow, Larry. You are alive. You are alive. Hello, welcome. So if they wanted to have me talk about something, for example, I would love to have a discussion with people who praise Elden Ring to the end. I think it's a great game, but I had some issues with it. And I would love it if someone could maybe, quote unquote, educate me on why they are so passionate about that game. And maybe there are some things in there that I did not really understand. V, you want to talk about football? Of course, I can talk football. I'm in Texas, by the way, so of course I can talk football. And what's funny is that I learned football from playing Madden. It was the one with Sean Alexander on the cover. Or, no. Or was it Vince Young? Because back in school, I did not understand football at all. We do not play football in Asia at all. I can't say it for right now, but back in my day, no football. Absolutely not. You're all about that rice and no egg roll? Egg rolls are overrated, but fried rice, or if it's just rice in general, W, okay? I'm just telling you right now. Damn it, soccer. Soccer. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about soccer other than Messi is arguably the greatest, and you can say Ronaldo is really good. But we did play soccer when we were young. Why? I think there's a reason that soccer is the most popular sports in the world, and it's because it is the cheapest sports to play. All you need is a ball and a field. You can use whatever you want as a goal. A trash can, a two pole, you can make it. And I think that's why every country can accept soccer. Now, back in Asia, before basketball, right, it was either soccer or baseball. But again, think about it. Baseball, you kind of need a helmet, you need a bat, you need balls, you need gloves, and all that stuff. Soccer, you can just play in your sneakers. Yeah, you forgot I'm in America. I'm in Texas, man. Yeah, broski. Soccer, football, two different things. Regan Repion is the GOAT of soccer? Maybe. But then again, didn't the U.S. women team get demolished by a couple of middle school soccer team? At least that's what I hear. All right. You know why I can run songs, Grapes? It's because all of my streams I don't monetize them. Four-wheeler by Miles. All right. I'm assuming it's this one, right? Or is it the top one? Which one? In sports, I have no. Of course, it's pretty much. It's no competition, Grapes. I mean, I came to America. During elementary school, we also played soccer. The reason, in fact, that comes with a good story because I think it was like in 5th grade or something like that, and we had mixed matches. So, as in boys and there was 2 teams, and it's a mix of boy and girl. And during recess, we were playing soccer. Unfortunately, I was like one of those enforcers, and I accidentally kicked the ball too hard, and I think it was at a girl. She cried, and then the match stopped, and that was one of those things that I feel pretty ashamed. Yeah, so ashamed that that was the last time I actually played soccer in school. I still played occasional from time to time with my neighbors when I was living in an apartment, and we play it in the tennis court. But yeah, that I'm just saying that that girl wasn't just like a little bit crying; she was bawling. I kicked the ball. I don't think I kicked it in her face, but I either tripped her up or kicked the ball at her hip, something like that. And that's why I did not play soccer anymore, unfortunately. You do that, Grapes. The top one? All right. By Miles. I'm not a fan of rap.
Grandma
though.
Just called me a fucking nigger. I don't know why she mad, so I had to hit her. Why the fuck my cousin looking for his 4-wheeler? I just need some fucking water and some sugar. How you don't got no tissue in here? Why your car only go to the first gear? Feel like DC on fly, bring that ass here. Why you got the water but it's not crystal clear? Sold my brother a dog but it was a deer. My mama got mad and she said, you bitch. That shit hurt, bro. Now I gotta take your tire.
You people from Twitch, Larry, you guys are something else. Way more unhinged. on Twitch than I thought, which is fine. I don't mind it. It's all cool. I can take it. But unfortunately, I don't watch too many UFCs, so I don't know who those two are. Trust me, I tried to get into rap. I did. But I think it's just because of the language barrier. And I don't mean English. It's because I like the beats and stuff, right? However, it's hard for me. I have a slow mind. So when it comes to rapping, right, you're supposed to rhyme these words together, which is great. To me, it's kind of like poetry. No problem. But at the same time, it's also trying to tell a particular story or something. And then I just have a hard time, like, because it's supposed to be quick, spit fires or spitting bricks or something, and I can only maybe understand 50% when a person raps, unless I slow it down and actually analyze it. And I certainly cannot rap. I don't talk that fast, so there's that. Have I been called Ching Chong Bing Bong? I've been called way worse. Believe me. I could care less about my. I could care less about racist jokes about me. Even some of my closest friends, they still make fun of me for being an Asian, for having a small wee wee, and I honestly don't care. As long as they can take it when I make fun about them, about being a fat American, I don't mind it. I love these kind of trolls. We all do, Grapes. Asians, it's a stereotype for a reason. We got smaller eyes. I have larger than average eyes though, and I'm a little bit taller than the average Asian. Average Asian height is like what, 172 centimeters. I can't convert it to foot. Maybe about 5'6", 5'7". I'm 5'9", so I'm just a bit average, above average. Not 6 foot though. Do my aunts and uncles eat puppies? No, unfortunately they don't, because none of them are in the countryside. And I'll get to your question in a bit, V. It's for those of you who don't know, yes. In Korea, I'm not so sure about Japan, but in China, yes, we used to eat dogs. I would not say puppies, because if it's in the countryside, they treat dogs like working animals. For example, like a mule, right? The farmers wouldn't slaughter that animal for consumption, because that animal is way more valuable to the community for plowing the land. Same thing with the dogs, for protecting the chickens from wolves and all that stuff. But unfortunately, which is a good thing right now with, China being modernized and Korea as well, we no longer have to do that. It's very, very frowned upon. Granted, you gotta realize in China, we used to eat a lot of weird stuff. Starfish, beetles, worms, I remember. I'm in the southwest part of Asia, so people looked at us as like Louisiana in America. We eat a bunch of crazy stuff. Thankfully, my parents did not allow me to eat too many of those stuff. That's just why back in the day, when I came to the US, I saw birds and I saw squirrels and I saw rabbits. I was like, Jesus, there's so many wild animals here. They're not gonna be around, okay, if they're in China, just saying. I don't know what Negro grows in general. Is it true that most Asians dislike black people? It depends on how conservative they are, I would say. It depends. If they're more Americanized like my parents, no, they don't care. If they're very stuck up in the old traditional ways, like if you're marrying a woman or marrying a man and they expect like dowries and stuff. If you don't know what a dowry is, if you're a man marrying a woman, the man's supposed to pay like a very high price, like those kind of things. Then yeah, it's not just against black people. It's that they're more about money. if the black man has a lot of money, I don't think they care. Just saying. Anyways, V is saying, have I ever been to the UK? I have not, unfortunately. My mom has. She was there last year. She was in Ireland and London for maybe about 2-3 days. She thinks that two things stuck out. She loves Northern Ireland, and over there they have some of the best cheese, milk, produce that she has ever the pleasure of tasting. They said that she said that the grass there are like super thin and soft and it's very, very green. And the milk and the cheese has and the butter has certain sweetness to it, which is amazing. But when she got to London, she did say that the water is very dirty. And unfortunately, she went during the King Charles's inauguration, I believe. So she didn't get to see too much because everything was either crowded or closed. So if that answers your question. I would love to visit, of course. I would love to go visit Oxford and have a taste of British food. Although I'd say British food doesn't have the best reputation, at least from what I hear. You got sausage and onion gravy with mash. Bangers and mash, that's the word. Fish and chips, which my mom says is probably rather good. And then jellied eel. Shepherd's pie, cottage pie. Those are some of the cuisines that I've heard of. Granted, she only tried fish and chips over there. She didn't have enough time to eat all this stuff. This stream is making your tummy hurt. Believe me, I mean, I would definitely cook you guys something. I was the one I could easily make a good risotto or do a particular quick round of fried rice. If, for example, Grapes and Larry, you guys are new, so you guys did not know. Before I started streaming, which is around December of last year, I actually had my own restaurant. Don't think of it as like anything fancy. It's a one-man restaurant, which is me, and it's a curry shop. Think of it as like a very small, crappy-ass place, and I sell curries. So I do know a good amount about food, but am I like a chef, Michelin star level, anything like that? No, but I can certainly cook good food, comfort food, fried rice, chow mein, shepherd's pie. I know how to make all of those. They're very, very simple to make. And I'm always down to making some of the simplest food like fried chicken. ICL, do not come. It's mid. God, I do want to go to UK, but I heard that it has some. I really just want to eat some of the food over there, mainly because I heard the produce over there is much better than America. V is saying, how would I summarize the education in America? It's not good. It's not great. I'll give you the example. When I came from China when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I've already learned algebra, okay? So when I came here and I think it was like 3rd grade or something, we haven't even started multiplication yet. And I was so confused because I understood that, okay, I didn't speak English, but I didn't think that people were that. I thought they put me in a special class, if you know what I mean. Like, wow, I can't speak English, so I assume that I don't know anything about math either. I aced the math class all the way up to like maybe 7th or 8th grade, all the way up to geometry, no problem. Okay? Math is like basics of the basics. So I'd say that the American education system is quite lenient and very, very laxed. And if you see some of the what schools in China, even compared today to what we're like now, it's complete night and day. I would say that China, the studying culture, it's like a prison. It's very, very competitive, very, very harsh. You're talking about going to school at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and then leaving at around maybe 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Some even as late as 12. and then just go back. It's 7 days a week because there's something called Gaokao. If you don't know what that is, it's basically the exam at the end of high school. And that exam is so important because it literally determines your future. You either go to college or go somewhere, and think of it as like your USA's SAT score. If you get a very low score, you're kind of screwed. You cannot attend any university. Most likely you would not be able to get a good job, and you either work as just another factory worker or go back to the countryside. And all this extra pressure is put on you from not only your peers, but also your family. Because if you fail, then you pretty much lose face. You lose value to your family. I've heard it was so hard that there's a reason why we do not if you go to a school in China, the windows, as well as if you go to the rooftop, there are bars. It's to prevent kids from either escaping or jumping. Okay? Yo, Half-Fi, what's up? What's up? How are you? How are you? Just give me some topics. You got someone like on YouTube like V, and you guys giving me good topics, and then you got someone like on Twitch like Grapes and Larry, who's new, giving me some controversial topics, but I don't mind talking about. And Larry, as you said, can I make some fried chicken and collard green? I can make fried chicken. I have my own recipe. Fried chicken sandwich is actually one of my specialties, and except it's in a waffle shape. It's a waffle chicken sandwich. That was one of my the things that I made. It takes a long time though, because you got to marinate it and bread and everything. However, I do not know how to make collard greens. I'm not exactly a fan of like Cajun cuisine because I find them too salty. So you got things like gumbo and all that stuff. I think it's tasty, but it's just too heavy for me. The only Cajun cuisine I like is probably boiled crawfish, and that is not particularly hard to make, you know. No comment, Grapes. V is saying that today's emotional day for you. Just finished the equivalent to high school. That's why I think Ansel until next. Hopefully you get into Cambridge. Well, good luck, man. I do know Cambridge and Oxford are two of the biggest colleges in UK, and I wish you good luck. But just know that college isn't everything. Don't use it as in don't think that your life is over if you cannot get in. There are always other ways to, get a good life. It all depends on what you want to do. And as you ask about the American education system, I'll even go as far as saying that in college, believe me, the first year in college, most people don't even know what they're doing. They can barely take care of themselves. That's why freshmen are forced to live on campus in a dorm. And after a semester or something like that, they still don't know what career they want. You have no idea how many people switched majors in their first or second year. And they just, to me, like the first year, the second year of college is more or less babysitting. You are not forced to go to class, and which is a problem, because I feel that the American culture in college right now, when they get into college, it's more because they feel like they need to go there, even though they don't have to. They can go to trade school, they can get a job somewhere else and work in the field and gain experience that way. But they go there because they wanted to fit in, or as in it fits the narrative. I felt that for the longest time because I'm Chinese, I'm Asian. Asians get good grades, you go to college, and then you become a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. Believe me, I majored in engineer, okay? Civil engineer, buildings. But after looking at the job market and then looking at the tuition, I decided to drop out, and I had to switch school a couple of times. And eventually I decided to pursue real estate, which is something I could have pursued way before. I didn't even need college for, okay? And I enjoy this lifestyle of just making purely commissions rather than the 9 to 5. It's a lot of risk, but I know how to work it. And even though right now I'm not making any money, I'm okay with that. what did I study? Civil engineer. And then I tried to switch into business because I saw how engineers, their 9 to 5 worked. It's quite lonely, not very talkative, and I was not particularly good at physics. Physics was not a subject that I was very good at. Just saying. In other words, I wish that I've done this in high school, which is during the summer. I wish I applied to more internships, as in go to particular. If I was interested in entrepreneurship, I should have like maybe worked a summer job at a restaurant, or maybe volunteer at a hospital if I'm interested in the med field, because what you really want in life when you grow up is to be able to turn what you like into something, into a job. Because if you like what you're doing, then you wouldn't really consider that a job, right? I never felt that when I was young and in high school, I was a very shy kid. I did not talk to too many people. Never had a girlfriend, obviously. But so sales was never on the top of my list. I never thought I would be good at sales. But eventually, the engineering part kind of forced me into the real estate part. And I remember being so nervous about meeting my first client. And then I realized, it's just hanging out with people, being friendly and being honest, giving them a good deal, like kind of like advising. And I grew to really, really love it. This is why when I streamed, I had no problem with it, because talking to you guys is a lot less stressful than talking to a stranger or a client that I have to convince them to sign a contract or a lease, because my salary, or excuse me, my commission depends on it. I either get him or her sign this lease and I could get the money to pay for my bills, compared to you guys where I'm just hanging out. You picked engineering. Believe me, most people picked engineering. It's either engineering. The only ones that really stuck out with me is probably med school. And it's very, very hard and very committed. But usually when people say they want to become a doctor, then they have to go to med school, then that is already a pretty good commitment. Where engineering could be anything else. You can sidetrack into, let's say, computer science, coding, something like that. Yeah, I went from being shy to a streamer. Trust me, I didn't want to stream in the beginning. I only streamed because it was a way to cope with my emotions. I told you that I started streaming December of last year, and that's because that was the very last year my restaurant was still alive. I kept that thing operational for about 4 to 5 years or something like that. 3 years, and then moved to a new location, put in more money. That location did not pan out, and I was just very, very heartbroken and very depressed. And I thought, well, imagine being yourself in your own restaurant, your own shop. And the worst thing about being in your own shop is that you're alone. You have no workers and no customers. You're basically stuck in a room by yourself for the entire day, and you still got rent to pay and bills to pay as well. So on top of my head, I was like, you know what? I don't want to. It feels terrible, but maybe I could just start streaming. Because by then I was just watching a bunch of YouTube videos, etc., etc. I didn't do it because I wanted to make money. I was just trying to vent my frustration. I was like, if I'm gonna do it, I might as well do it on the internet. You know, it feels like if someone is gonna listen. So then it started out with Stardew Valley, and then, you know, when my shop closed, being a streamer, it kept me emotionally stable. So yeah. And then I went back to real estate, of course. I did real estate, made money, and then I poured it onto a restaurant right before COVID. Flopped, went back to real estate. Right now it's not doing so well. And then I'm doing the whole streamer thing. So yeah, that's how my life is. And I feel good. I feel good. I don't mind it. It is my decision. I could have like maybe gotten married and have a kid, but it was I just had there was that rush of adrenaline or that rush of entrepreneurship that I just can't put down. I like to do things my own way. If I was able to turn a passion, cooking, and at this point streaming, sales into a job and I can make money off of it, great, no problem. If not, I can just enjoy it as a hobby. Do I get a lot of free time? If you're talking about real estate, then yeah, it depends on the market. Right now, the market is not very good because not many people can afford to buy a house. They don't qualify for it. And so I do get a lot of time. It doesn't feel good, but when I do get busy, yeah, it gets very, very busy because you got to make cold calls, set up an appointment, set appointments with the properties and the negotiation, all that stuff. It's not like you can just talk to someone and they sign a contract in one day. It doesn't work that way. So you might have a client that you know from like a month ago or 2 months ago that you haven't talked to, and then they say, hey, I'm coming to the city and I have about 2-3 days to make a decision. And then that's where you help them plan everything out to take the stress off their to take the stress off their moving of their life. And then they don't pay you. It's the seller or the apartment that rents the property out. That's where they help you. And I enjoy that. You know, we go around the city and I tell them this is a neighborhood that's really good for you. This neighborhood is a little bit questionable. I think this is really close to your job. This part has really good restaurants. So just selling the city to them and then make them feel welcome, make them feel comfortable. And if they ever have any questions like, hey, do you have a recommendation for, if I want to go out on a Saturday? I was like, oh, go here. This is a really good spot for meeting people. And that's all it is. So it's not exactly rocket science, and I certainly don't need a degree from college to do that. College, to me, is you just go into class, and then you just learn from the books. But the problem with that is that you don't get any sort of real world experience. You don't get any, when you get out of college, at least this is what I heard from my friends, is that when they go, one of my friends works for Samsung. He went from mechanical engineer to, he was in mechanical engineer and then he switched to another engineer, something like that. He got a job at Samsung, good company, and he said that the first thing to do is that when they get there is they have to get trained because they don't know anything. Because although you know what college classes taught you, you still don't know how the company works. In other words, this is how you can differentiate yourself from others, is that if you already went to a company like Samsung or whatever, and you applied saying, I want to just work here for free to get experience. Not only does the company is okay with that because they get a free worker, and two, they get to train you for free. It's a win for them, and it's a win for you because not only do you get first hand-on experience with the job, but also you can actually establish relationship with your coworkers and the upper management. And when it is time to apply to sell company, if you do decide to go there to work, what happens is that you get something much more valuable than just a piece of paper, which is your diploma. It's called referrals. If you have referrals, it is much more powerful, much better than a diploma. You know, you'll be in the top spot because you already know the people there, and if the company already knows that you know how everything works, as soon as you go there, you get paid. They do not exactly have to train you for too long because you already know what you're doing, right? So that's why I said I kind of regret, like, during the summer just wasting it all. I was, unfortunately, my parents are, traditional Asians, but they're Americanized now.
Hot take, something I love.
And during the summer, it's either SAT classes and just, math class and all that stuff. But I've always been interested in business and sales. I just didn't know about it. So I missed out on quite a bit. And again, like they said, they regret it as well, because I just don't have their mindsets. They're both in the medical field, and they really tried to get me to go into the same route. Medical field, Asians, yeah, we're there always. But it is what it is, and I just can't find myself being inside a hospital or research lab, because I hate the very being of being inside a hospital or those places. This very smell of disinfectant, alcohol, patients, and the coldness of the AC. It's just, I just can't stand it. And nothing puts me faster to sleep than, those, than biology or anything related to medfield. Those words, I just can't do it. What age do people do the SAT? It depends. You can do it whenever, but usually it's during my time. It's probably as early as maybe 10th grade. Maybe you might even take it a little bit earlier. There's no rules you can't take it early, but you probably should take it before your senior year. Senior year is probably when you turn 17, so you can do the math there. 15, 16, I guess. But yeah, you can take it multiple times. And if you don't like the SAT, you can take the ACT here. I never taken it. I only took the SAT. Took about 3 times. So one of the score was acceptable, and I just did not do very well at reading. Math and grammar was pretty decent. Math was obviously my highest, but reading has always been my lowest one. So I always had trouble with that. It has nothing to do with like memorizing words. I think it was just pure reading comprehension. That was the one thing that I struggled with. But I still enjoy reading, depending on what it is. It could be a manga, or it could be a very interesting book. I like to read about biographies. I have a shelf in my room over there that has a list of books. They're mainly biographies with who are people that I'm interested in. If you want to know one of them, 2 of them actually. One was Peter Lynch. He's what is it? He's one of the legendary stockbrokers, like Warren Buffett. I find his life to be very interesting, and I find him giving me advice on stocks to be very interesting. And I did definitely make some money due to his advice. And the other one, I'm sure you heard of this guy, Donald Trump. I've read his book, The Art of the Deal, when I was young. That was one of the books that was recommended to me when I was in high school. It was one of the school projects. I read plenty of books, but I was just not very good at speed reading. As in, like, when the SAT, you get a certain period, you get a certain time to do these questions. I was just not very good at that. I think some of you might ask, what did I think about Trump's book? It's been a very long time. Okay, it's high school or something like that. I remember there are parts that stood out to me, as in something about him fixing an ice skating rink in New York and how he trashed the city for being doing such a crappy ass job. Am I into politics? I'm not exactly into it, and it's one of the subjects that I steer away from. But because of my age, I'm 34, and because I'm an entrepreneur, and of course in real estate, I have to get into politics. I'm not afraid of it. I have my views, and obviously I'm probably not the most informed guy, but I have my views. I prefer less government intervention. I learned that firsthand when I was opening up my restaurant, and just how anal and how much paperwork there is when it comes to government. And it is extremely annoying and gets extremely expensive. Like, for example, when I opened up a restaurant in the city, they sent me one inspector who came into my restaurant and says, okay, this is all good. A few weeks later, they had to send another inspector, came in and says, this is not okay. You need to fix this. So I fixed that. And then a few weeks later, they came in and said, oh, you didn't fix this part? You need to do this. That almost caused me to bankrupt before I even started my restaurant. So yeah, but there are things that I certainly understand it, and the government needs to be there. And if you don't, you're talking about real estate, then the easiest part would be the two words called eminent domain, which is if a government deems your property or the land that you own to be important enough for the government, as in if your house is in the middle of nowhere and the government decides to, I'm gonna put a big ass highway and your house is in the way, they have the legal authority to take that property away from you. Granted, they'll pay you for it at market value, even if you don't want to sell it. That's just how it is. In some way, I understand, but at the same time, the people who make the decisions up top can be absolute brain dead. Hopefully that explains if I'm into politics. And believe me, you guys will be into politics as well, especially when you guys eventually grow up and get a job. And when you get a job, you'll have to do something called taxes. And then you got bills. And you got all this other incentives like 401k, health insurance. Those are fun. They'll all affect you in different ways, and you have to get into politics no matter what. What are my thoughts on the Israeli and Palestine situation? I really don't have much to say because I don't have any Jewish friends and I don't have any Palestinian friends. So I do not understand, or I am not anywhere nearly informed about the history in that land. I think it has something to do with religion. Something about there's like a giant black cube there. And then something about the Messiah needs to go there. And then this land was taken by the Jewish people and the Palestinians want them back. I was like, I don't know what's going on there. So as you can tell, I don't have an opinion because I'm not informed enough to understand what the I don't have the facts from both sides, as in what did the Palestinian think and what did the Jewish people think. I don't know. I'm Chinese. We don't really get into religions all that much. In China, the only religion you need to know is the government, which is the CCP, and then there's something called money. We only care about that. Doesn't matter about religion. And when I moved to America, my parents were obviously went to church for a while, but then life got in the way, as in they needed to work more and more and more. So we never went back to church. So there you go. So I guess you can call us Christians, but we don't really go to church at all or donate to charity or anything like that. And I even get confused about Christianity as well because there's so many of it. I don't know the difference between a Protestant or Lutheran or Catholic or something like that. And I was like, okay. So there you go. Yeah, I don't mind commenting things on things that I have knowledge of. However, I'm just speaking the truth, as in I really don't understand what each side are fighting over. I think it's about land. Maybe there's a holy land there that Jewish control, and then the Palestinian wants it back. I could be wrong. So that's my take on it. I'm not trying to avoid the subject or anything like that. Trust me, I just don't know. But anyways, oh man. As you can tell, V, and Half-Life are still here. You can throw almost any subject at me, and I can comment on it as almost as long as possible, but without trying to, I guess you can say, stall. I've given you an answer. I didn't try to deflect it. I just tell you, I don't know. You know. And yeah, I don't have any Palestinian friends, or at least the ones that I know of, or Jewish friends. I had a Jewish, I wouldn't call her a friend, but she did date one of my friends. And I wouldn't exactly call her full-on Jewish. Why? Because my friend is Korean. And if you know anything, Jews marry Jews. So I can't exactly call her to be that Jewish. Yeah, that's what I kind of try to do. Went from soccer to geopolitics. I don't mind you going back to soccer. I really don't. I think soccer is fun to play, but unfortunately, in my honest opinion, how I feel, I don't enjoy watching soccer. I try watching the World Cup. I was just like, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's better than baseball. I find baseball to be very boring to watch. The only reason you go to watch baseball is to get drunk, I guess. But football, I know how crazy the fans are. And I've seen some penalty kicks. And from Cristiano Ronaldo, the way they're able to bend the shot or whatever by putting a spin on it. Very cool. And I definitely think soccer takes a lot of skill. I'm sure some people can, shoot the basketball or whatever and dribble, but to be able to have that kind of control with your full body, especially with your legs, it's quite difficult. Yeah. Again, please don't feel offended if I say that I'm not into soccer. I think it's fine. I might watch if it's a Clasico, if it's like a Cristiano Ronaldo versus Messi, but understand that I'm in Texas, in the USA. It's football and basketball all the way, okay? If there is a sport that I sometimes watch just purely out of players, then it would be tennis. Unfortunately, I don't watch tennis anymore because my favorite players are retiring, or rather retired. If you don't know who that is, it's Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, and Djokovic is going to retire soon. You think football is one of them sports either you love since you're young or not much, and it's by far the biggest sports in Europe. The thing with soccer in America is that we have a soccer team in here in my city. We're not very good. We know it's there. It's just that we don't really care for it. In high school, we do have a soccer team. Just no one pays attention to it because it's not nearly as popular. They don't have cheerleaders compared to basketball or football. And while we do play baseball, because baseball has a history with America, baseball is not even that popular of a sport in my school. It's more just, okay, it's there, I don't doubt that soccer is the biggest sport in Europe. Right behind, I would say probably golf, but I would definitely never play golf or watch golf. I find golf extremely boring to watch. If you wanted me to watch it, I'd just watch the highlights, like a hole-in-one or something. And I tried play golf because I worked on a golf course before, a very nice golf course. But I just couldn't do it. I like putting. I think it's fun. It's like playing pool. But you can never get me to do a drive. And I know how high of a talent that European golfers are. We have Tiger Woods and maybe McIlroy and Phil Mickelson, I think. But again, I don't know any golfers other than that. Kind of the same thing with basketball in the UK. People play it, but nobody ultra passionate about it. Really? Is that so? I think it might be because it's just a different culture, right? If your sport is already super popular, kids are gonna gravitate towards that, I mean, if you're here in the US and you're in school and you see that the cool people are playing football and basketball, because that's where all the cheerleaders are, then you might gear towards that. Same thing if you're in Europe and you see everyone playing soccer, well then of course you're gonna gear towards soccer. I mean, I still remember in elementary when people were phasing out of soccer, people started playing basketball more, and eventually soccer is just up to 3 or 4 people, and they were Europeans. Infrastructure for football is there, yeah. If you're talking about American football, it's just, there's a lot more stuff to it, and by stuff I mean expense. Because you need a helmet, you need pads, you need cleats, you need a football field. You need so many different things, and there's a lot more to it because there's offense and defense. Where football, I just know that you have a goalie, and then 2 strikers, midfield. How many people are on the field at the same time per team? I think it's like 8 or something. All infrastructure football is there. Yeah, believe me, when we play football here, it's like the field are either whatever. I'm sure that if you go to Europe and you see a real legit football field, I'm pretty sure you guys have really, really good grass. Okay, here in America for football, it's AstroTurf. Grass is very rarely used because it's more expensive to upkeep. But we do AstroTurf. It doesn't feel nice to play on though. Like routes and pros and semi-pros levels are way more accessible than basketball. Well, that's probably only UK because Europe definitely does have a very good basketball league because EuroLeague is pretty big over there, right? It's pretty decent. I mean, we also got Dirk Nowitzki, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Right now, you got the 2 biggest are Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic. So they're all European megastars here in the America. And I think right now, Europe is catching up to American basketball. It's not just college here anymore. Granted, the NBA is here in the US, and it's still the most profitable basketball league in the world. Same thing with FIFA. FIFA is not coming to the US. It stays in Europe, I think. But yeah, I can see how crazy some of those football fans are, especially during the World Cup. And the amount of pressure some of those players face, or if they mess up. I hear people get shot for messing up. I don't think it happened in America, but I think it's also because FIFA also has a sports gambling problem. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. Sports gambling is already infiltrating in American sports as well, whether it's baseball or basketball, especially basketball. I've seen it. And that's where people can get the spirit of the sport, the spirit of competitiveness really goes out. You know. What would you say is your favorite hobby? And from yesterday, I take it to be anime? No. Anime is one of my things I watch. But right now, anime is not one of my passions because I like to watch old animes. It used to be. When I grew to a certain age, I don't know if I grew out of it or maybe it's just anime changed. It definitely changed. It's just I'm not as into anime as I was before. But if you're talking about my favorite hobby, I would say probably cooking and then just sitting down with friends and having a chat. That's it. It's very simple. This is why I do this just chatting stream. This is like one of my favorite things to do. You just sit down, having a conversation with people. But you guys have an advantage over my friends, and it's that every day I don't know how many people are going to be here. Like for today, it's only you and a few other people, like less than 2 or 3. But yesterday I had almost 6, 7, or 8. And eventually, hopefully, if people find me entertaining, hopefully I'll have a lot more. And so it's like talking to a different kind of people every single day, where if I talk to just my friends, I kind of already know what's going on. I can't talk to my friends every day. I was like, how's your day? I went to work. Okay, good. Anything happened with your son or your daughter? No, they went to school as well. All good. It's mundane. It is what it is. But here, like you, for example, you're giving me a bunch of topics. And we went from soccer to geopolitics. And then we got 2 mofos from Twitch trolling and trying to get me saying some of the weird, and I did fall for it. I admit I did fall for it, and giving me some controversial topics that I did not shy away from, and I find that entertaining. I find that amusing. You know, it keeps me engaged. Betting culture is massive in the UK, if that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, betting on sports, right? Yes. I do. It's pretty obvious that people bet on matches. But I do know like the hate between Real Madrid and Barcelona is like unbelievably real. We have the same thing here in America in American football. like the Cowboys and probably Philadelphia, maybe the Patriots and the Colts. But I don't think it's nearly as bad as Barcelona and Real Madrid. You tell me. That's something you'll have to comment on. And if, like for example, I guess I could say this. Maybe if you come into Texas and say you're not a fan of football, you don't get football. Okay, people here was like, okay, you won't be hanging out with us. That's fine. But in the UK, I feel like if you say that you're not really a fan of soccer, or you don't play soccer, or think soccer is boring to watch or to play, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get some side eye. You're gonna get some eggs on your face. At least that's how I feel. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. That's why it's okay, guys. If you give me the topics via text, or you want to be literally in Discord, that's all cool with me. I'm just saying that if you want to be on voice, it gives me a little bit more of a feedback. I'm right when it comes to going to the UK and you say you're not a fan of Liverpool or something like that, or you don't even like soccer in general. There's something like not liking a team, they might accept it. But if you say you don't like the game itself, ooh. So I was right then. Literally every boy is kind of expecting to have some interest in football. Yeah. Look, if my parents immigrated over there, then I might have been the same. But I will say that maybe my chance of playing soccer is a lot higher than me playing basketball or football. Okay? Because at the very least, you don't have to be very tall to play soccer. Okay? You don't have to be very tall. Or basketball, you absolutely need to be tall. As for football, I don't know what position I would play. I can't throw, obviously. And with soccer, I find it might be a little bit... There's definitely a high level of skill. But with soccer, it's not like one person has the ball the entire time. It's more like you walk around, and then once you get the ball, you sprint or you run. But you do get breaks. Where basketball, you got to get back on this here and there really, really fast. And then with football, it's the same thing, but the timing is a lot faster because you got 60 seconds to run a play. 100%? Yeah. So maybe that's why I was so surprised when I first saw Messi being a magician as he is. And I saw his highlights. The way he's able to the way that he's able to play with the ball, like the ball is part of his feet, is something that I don't think I could never imagine, because that's like God levels of talent. It's something that is blessed. I mean, you can't exactly train for that, I think. Where Cristiano Ronaldo is pure work. He does have some God-given gifts, his genes, but at the same time, I mean, you can try to work as hard as him, and his work ethic is incredible. So it's kind of like, I guess you can say I would definitely probably say I would like to watch Messi a little bit more, just because it's so abnormal the way that he's able to play the game as like a magician. And kind of like Roger Federer with tennis, he just has he has that essence of the game, as in the ball comes natural, as the game is too easy for him. And then if you're talking about basketball, I wouldn't say Michael Jordan, but maybe Larry Bird, Pete Maravich. And football, it would be someone like Barry Sanders. Okay. And then you got football. I thought that UK also has something like football, which is called rugby. But I don't understand one thing about rugby at all. I don't know anything about rugby. It's almost like football, but without pads. So a lot more brutal, maybe. But yeah, given the fact that I'm Asian, all these sports, baseball, the only sports that we might excel at is probably baseball, as you saw with Shohei Ohtani. Something a little bit technical, where it's like a lot more, where I guess you can say soccer, football, basketball is a lot more physical. Rugby is big there. well, I can't comment on too much because I've literally never seen a rugby game before. I've only seen clips of here and there on sitcoms like Friends. I was like, okay, it's a European football, but with no pads, you know. But would I want to stand in the way of someone like with no pads running towards me with a shoulder like that? No, I would not. I'm sure it's fun to play. Most of the sports that I've listed, we talked about, with the exception of maybe golf. I don't mind playing it. Playing it is definitely fun. I just don't think watching is a different thing. And of course, being good at the sport is another different thing. And also, have you ever seen that many Asian soccer players that are that good to be able to make it to FIFA? Not that I know of. At least in basketball, I know there's Yao Ming and Jeremy Lin. There's like one or two. And then there's that new Japanese guy, Yuki something. And as for baseball, you know, Ichiro Suzuki, Shohei Ohtani, you know, a few. And then there's American football. I just knew one guy. I think he's Korean. He's a kicker. And that's it. You would think the Japanese would apply to be a lineman because they got sumo wrestlers. I can't name a single Asian FIFA player on top of my head. I can't. Maybe the one or two are on the bench, but I've never seen it. So Hyun-min. Hold on. Who does he play with? AIA? There's also different leagues that I don't know of. I don't understand the different leagues and stuff. La Liga, or I think it's called, and there's other ones. So again, it's not just like from Liverpool or Manchester or Real Madrid. I have a hard time understanding all this. I know World Cup is different. That's where countries compete. But I don't know anything about leagues. I mean, there's NBA, and then there's everything else, like the D League or something, and there's college. But I don't understand the different leagues in soccer. Each country has their own league. I thought that's just... So what's the one that FIFA, which is countries against countries, right? Because if you need to be the best team of your country to go up against... Oh, man, I'm confused. Because Real Madrid and Barcelona are in Spain, right? I know Barcelona is in Spain. Is Real Madrid in Spain? Oh, there is a question for it. Yeah, okay, it is in Spain. So they're both in Spain. Yet they play each other. So this is like the NBA stuff. So does that mean like on the world stage, where I don't know, UK versus Germany, is that only for FIFA or is that like a separate league? La Liga. What league? Okay, so these are the ones. La Liga is the only one that I heard of. I heard of Copa, UEFA, and Supercopa de España. I have no idea what... Oh, yeah. Chelsea... Oh, yeah, David Beckham, that's right. Liverpool are in England. But does that mean that if you're in a different league, like, for example, Real Madrid would never play against Liverpool? I think they should play. They definitely could have played. And yes, I know about Mbappe or something like that. And there's Neymar. So there's the Premier League. Oh, jeez. So there's like teams that compete with each other in their own country, which gets very riled up. And then you got teams compete with other countries, but not in the World Cup then, right? Okay. Kim Min-jae. I don't even know what this is. What is Bundesliga club? I don't even know what club that is. I mean, you might as well say what club Messi is in right now. He's in Miami. I don't know what league that is, but I'm assuming that the league now in Miami is like is nowhere near as good as say La Liga or the big league, right? Okay, big teams from each country play each other the Champions League. Germany League. Okay. So there's the Germany League, Spain, UK. So those are the big three. Is there France? I'm sure France is there. Yeah, Mbappe is there. There's France. Is there an Italian league? Or like a Scandinavian? Norway? Or, I mean, there's a Swiss league, isn't there? See, this is where it gets all so confusing for me. Okay, France has one. I assume France does have one. So only the big country has it, right? If it's something like, I don't know, what is that small country? Luxembourg, small country, probably does not have one. What other countries there? Top 5 in the world is Premier League, La Liga. This is why someone has to literally explain to me in voice. Syria. Syria A? Syria? Has a league? Bundesliga, so that's German. And League 1. Ligue 1? I don't know. Usually when it comes to these leagues, I just knew that where do people make the most money. So for example, football, NFL, NBA, or basketball, NBA. This is what most people watch. Well, well, I don't know about now because back then we obviously couldn't watch too many things. We didn't. Series A? Not bad. No worries. Well, at least they got sponsored from T-Mobile and Adidas. Well, are these two Korean footballers? Are they like they look pretty good? I don't know if these stats are good or not, but no goals. So, assuming that they are just good players, they're nowhere near like the top of the top, right? Like Yao Ming was like an all-star, 8-time all-star. He was facing Shaq, and he was very, very good. Like 24 points and all that stuff. I don't think these guys are even on, what is it, Mbappe, Neymar, or those guys' leagues. But this is what most people watch. I mean, these are the leagues most people watch because they are the best. Well, yeah, it makes sense. You only want to watch the best players, right? And then these guys get like some crazy ass salary. Like, I don't know what the okay, maybe not 10 million. This is, well, it's 7.27 million euro. Not bad. Son Heung? I didn't know that. "10 matches, 3 goals." I assume that's pretty good. But maybe when I see like Ronaldo and those guys' stats, it's like 10 matches, they have like 12 goals or something crazy. Huh. Better than the average players. Okay. Because Jeremy Lin, for example, in basketball, was like an average, maybe above average player. So this guy is what people would consider an all-star then. Alright. But not considered legendary status, right? Not like Neymar, or excuse me, not Neymar, Messi or Ronaldo type, right? Assuming. Huh. I'm a little bit deflated now because they're all either South Korean or Japanese players. No Chinese players, unfortunately. Oh well, except for Yao Ming, but he was made in the lab. So with these guys, soccer. I guess the only sports that we can Asians or Chinese can win is probably women's tennis. I could say that, yeah. So all-star, but not legendary top 50 player of all time or something like that. That kind of big. Okay. I was thinking like maybe there one last question, V, before I go. Is there any sort of like racial biasness towards Asian players? That's what I want to know. For example, if I'm going to the NBA, there is definitely Asian bias against Asians because we're considered small and a little bit on the weak side. We might be good at shooting, but normally we do not play center or like go on the offensive rebounds or anything. Same thing with football. There's no Asian quarterbacks or center or physical or wide receivers or corners. But so is there like an Asian stereotype against Asians in soccer? Not talking about the league, just soccer in general. And that's what I want to know. Not racial bias. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I understand if I get picked last in the gym because I obviously can't dribble, or excuse me, I can't really play defense. So maybe it's not as bad as in basketball. Definitely not as bad as in the NFL. Okay. Damn. Well, that was fun. I talked quite a bit of soccer, something that I never thought I would talk that much about with someone. It was a pleasure discussing this with you, V. Maybe bias doesn't mean it's always bad. I completely understand if like even like a 5'6" Asian gets picked last in the gym, who's only a shooter, or like if you're in a basketball pickup game, most people would probably pick a black player first because they assume that the guy can dunk or can rebound or play the ball. That's just how the stereotype works. So that's what I'm asking when it comes to soccer. Now, if I was playing something like ping pong, then obviously the Asians would probably have has a bias towards it. Shorter people are considered better midfielders. Well, how tall is this guy? 6 foot. He's not that short. For an Asian, he's very well above average. This guy is 6 foot. Tall players are considered good keepers. Yeah, well, that makes sense because long arms and legs to block. But then again, you look at someone like Messi, but he is an anomaly. He's like 5'7" or 5'6". So Vitinha. Midfielder, so the guy in the middle, I guess. 5'8". Well, he's a bit shorter than me. I'm 5'10", so that's good. But then he weighs 141 pounds. I keep forgetting that you don't really need that much muscles when it comes to soccer. It helps, but you really don't need to. Okay. How tall is Messi again? 5'7". Even shorter. Yeah, he's quite short. I'm guessing he's like 140 pounds or something. Yeah, 48. Okay. Fiabot. 6'7". Jeez, this guy could be an NBA player, no problem. 212 pounds. Okay, that checks out. That makes sense. That's actually pretty lean for a guy who's 6'7". Very lanky, like long arms and legs. But I always thought that people considered goalies to be quite boring because, well, you know, they have arguably the most important job. But if your team is always on the offensive, you're just literally standing there. You're just standing there. So if your team is blowing the other guy out like 4-0, 5-0, you pretty much could just take a dump on the field and people don't give a damn. Super lean. Yeah. Makes sense though. That's why people always say that they think soccer players are arguably the most attractive because if they're that lean, they all must have really good abs. And it makes sense because they all have very good leg strength and leg control. Not as much as in the arm, some arm strength, but it's not as important as your abdomen. So they're always good looking. I don't know if Messi is considered good looking, but there's a reason Ronaldo is the most followed Instagram guy in the world. That guy has some really good looking genes. David Beckham as well. And I say David Beckham might be a little bit better looking. That's just my opinion. Looks fun. You never know. I mean, I definitely would have been a much bigger soccer fan if my parents moved over there. Granted, I was only into football during high school when I finally understood how the game works. Okay? And football is all about like bulging muscle, unless you're the quarterback, and it just depends on what position. If you're a lineman, you expect to be like super beefy. You got fat and muscle, big, because you're pushing someone. Quarterback, you need an arm and brains. And then corner, I'd say a lot of maybe these guys can play corner. Not this guy, he's too tall to be a corner. Maybe a receiver. But yeah. Oh, that was fun. Talking so much about soccer. You taught me a lot, V. Yeah, it's not just me, talking about what I enjoy. You guys are welcome to, strike up a conversation or give me whatever topics you guys find interesting and what my take on it. I don't mind that at all. Hopefully you found this fun, V. Even though I think it's just you and me here. All right, I'll be here tomorrow, guys, and I will be doing a playthrough of One Shot. All right, and on Friday and Saturday we will be getting Nico his good ending. Hopefully, if I know what I'm doing. So hopefully you guys will be here to witness it. And oh no, I definitely did, V. I definitely did. I love talking with people. It's one of my favorite hobbies. You can say it's my favorite hobby, whether it's me contributing to the conversation or you saying something back. I always find it interesting. Just unfortunately, because I'm still a new streamer and I'm pivoting, I don't have that many people with me right now, but give me some time. We'll have way more people here. When can you get an Elden Ring stream? Well, the thing is, I've already finished it. I've already finished Elden Ring. In fact, if you are an Elden Ring fan, or rather a FromSoft fan, I would love to hear your opinions on it. And if you want, I've made 3 videos making some kind of critique, some of the issues I have with the game. I would love it if I can have an actual discussion with an Elden Ring fan in voice, telling me what they think of my opinion, even if they think that my opinion is trashy or whatever. So and whether or not if my criticisms are valid, Thanks, V. No worries. I'm not sure. If I can get just a good amount of people coming in here and just chatting with me every night, that's already good with me. Cool, man. Thanks for joining in tonight. Again, apologies for not having that many people like yesterday, but I still had a lot of fun chatting with you. Anyways, you guys have a good night. I'll see you guys tomorrow for One Shot.